Hey, everybody, and welcome to Tea Talk Thursday. I am Tamika, the mouth of IG at Tamika Talks, and I'm the thought leader at Life and Pumps, where I'm basically your lifestyle expert. So I created Tea Talk Thursday to be an organic conversation between me and some friends, or just me and you. You know how I like to do. But ideally, we're going to talk about current events, things that are happening. And today is actually a part two. I feel like this is the first time I've done a part two. But last week we talked about fatherless, pay him no mind. We talked about fatherless and it was so well received. We had so many questions. We were receiving lots of comments even after the show ended that I thought it was a good idea that we come back on and basically do a part two. And then I said, we need to bring some professionals in because, he nor I are professionals. We have a lot of opinions on things, but we are not professionals. And so we wanted to make sure that we had the right people that could guide you to some positive solutions. We realized that this was, kind of a triggering topic for a lot of people. And I don't think he nor I thought about it at the time. But we were so grateful that people joined in, that you shared your personal experiences with us. And we hope that today will also be an extension of that as for help. So I will have everybody introduce themselves. I guess we can go ladies first. Melissa, you can go.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Melissa Tate Screws out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a mental health professional and have been doing so for almost 20 years.
Wow. All right, Crystal.
Hi, guys. I am Crystal Curry from Compass Life Skills and Counseling in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm a licensed mental health clinician as well.
All right, Sai, on you.
I am Cy Bryant. I'm the author of Fatherless, and thank you for joining me today to help me through this issue. All
right, wonderful. All right, guys. So last week, we really touched on some topics. Cy explained to us why he wrote the book. So Cy, maybe give us just like a 2-3 minute kind of background on why you wrote the book and all of that.
Yeah, so for me, it was about just releasing the amount of negative energy I had within me. And writing has become my sense of therapy. So I write about a lot of things, mostly about wifey and, love and pain and anger and frustration. But it's all about just letting it release out of my soul. And what I realized through writing is that one of my key anchor points has always been abandonment, meaning when my father left me, I held on to that. I held on to it. For decades, as if he was ever coming back. And so as a result of that, I recognized getting it out. As far as bringing this together into like a compilation of poems, it was really an ad hoc thinking that I just woke up. It's like, I'm gonna get these poems out just around fatherless. It just happened. It launched on Father's Day, and Tamika yelled at me for not being more organized about it, but it is what it is. And now we're alive, and now we're on part two. The positive part about all this is that a lot of people have just been reaching out, people I'm associated with or not even acquainted with at all, just asking questions. A lot of mothers reaching out saying, I think my husband's going through this, or my son's going through this, or my daughter's going through this. What should I do? And the one that has hit me the most that I didn't recognize were those men that grew up with fathers in the house and had no connection with their father. And for me, that's just like mind-blowing, because I just assume everyone in the house has some kind of connection. That's simply not the case.
Wow, that's great. So I want to remind everybody that's watching, if you have questions or comments, feel free to post them and I will read them and address them as I see them so that our presenters aren't, trying to do double duty. So feel free to post, ask any questions of either person. So Sai, yes. So I think that's probably something that we should touch on, and maybe our two therapists can give us some tips and some ideas, because that was a huge topic where a lot of men and women really talked about, living in a 2-parent household, but really only having one parent that was present. Are you guys finding that in your practices, and how are you really helping people deal with that? Whoever.
I really want Crystal Curry to chime in this space. She has created a niche in talking about people that are feeling fatherless, even though they have the physical presence of a father, or have been abandoned by their father in some sort of way, or maybe the father is there, but he's struggling with alcoholism, or, he's there, but not there. And so I really would like to hear Crystal chime into this space. I'm going to step back.
I love it.
Come on, Crystal.
I love it. Yes.
Amazing. But yeah, so what Sai was speaking to is exactly correct. You can have a father in the home and the child in the home, but because their lives are completely parallel, they never have an intersection point. They never touch. So what happens is that person, that child always has an emotional deficit, where even though there are people around, there is always a void to their core where they just feel absolutely lonely. And so what happens is that child, that son, that daughter will attempt to try to get out of their childhood as quickly as possible, because they believe that if I become an adult, I will have more freedom and I will have an opportunity to belong to something that I desire. But what happens is when they try to belong to something, because of the emotional blind spots that they have that were created in their childhood, they end up finding themselves in relationships with people who mimic the father that they were not in alignment with or did not have a relationship with during their childhood. And that's how the cycle continues.
That was a whole word.
Wow.
I mean, really, because we always talk about how, just as women, you know, sitting around together, we look at men that we've dated and we talk about, you know, just especially as we get older and we know better. Let me say that. We talk about how we see traits in maybe in a father or a male figure that, you know, wasn't the best. We see that in some of these men that we dated, that we often, you know, call derogatory names and things of that nature, not realizing the role that we played in it. That was a whole word. Absolutely. Yeah. Melissa, have anything to add?
Well, one of the things that, Crystal was saying that really rang to me is, basically recreating this generational pattern of fatherlessness and emotional disconnection in the family system. And so I'm self-reflecting as she's talking as well, because I had a very present father. I had a very present father in the home. My mother and father, middle school sweethearts, had been together, all their lives until my father passed away. But one of the issues I saw in my dating life was that I kind of expected the men to be just like my father. And so even though I didn't have fatherlessness, I saw the manifestation of that in my dating life, because I was just looking for something that I felt as a child, and it wasn't there in the men that I was dating. So trying to get them to be what in essence they weren't even groomed to be. They weren't taught to be that man or that father figure.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, all of us, as women, we can totally relate to that, because they often say, you end up marrying your father, and, depending on the relationship you have with your father determines how well your marriage is or how well your relationship is. So I can totally see that. Sai, you look like you were going to say something.
And just a quick funny, because I think because your father and I resemble each other in the bald head, people do think that, they wonder if I'm his son. I'm like, no, dude, like that's my father-in-law. But he and I do have similar traits as far as caring for the family. Like it's all in. And I think your father as well didn't have his father in his life, but we somehow found a way to make our families a priority versus making it the opposite, meaning I'm going to abandon my kids like I was abandoned. So it's really interesting, and I can't really put my finger on it to say what makes that man, that person, to say I'm not going to emulate what I experienced versus I am going to emulate it, because that's the trap we seem to get into. Because I remember so many people just saying to me, "You're lucky your father left you," and I'm like, "Damn, like really?" But that's what people are feeling.
Yeah, that's pretty deep. That's pretty deep. Absolutely. I think I guess it is a choice on whether you stay or you go. And I feel like I don't want to believe that a man intentionally just ups and leaves. I want to believe that, when he creates this child and he sees this baby, that he falls in love, because I can't imagine looking at my kid's eye and not falling. My mind can't comprehend that.
Right.
What I want to believe is that somewhere in his lineage, something happened. And as he's trying to groom this child, and be a father, something triggers in him that causes him to leave. What that is, I don't know, and I am by no means making excuses. But I don't want to believe that men intentionally up and leave their children.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just reading a lot of the statistics, it's always, the black man is absent from the family. And I feel like more so lately with this whole movement, because, black is in now, y'all. Black is in. Right, we hot. Yes, we are smoking. And so I feel like as people are really looking at the statistics, what they're seeing is that it's not so much always that black men are leaving. It's that they want to be in their child's life, but it's difficult for whatever reason. I don't know, it be the mother, because often when they talk about relationships with fathers and kids, really what they mean is the relationship with the father and the mother.
Yeah.
I see that in people that I know. Right. I see that in people that I know where, the father is estranged and maybe doesn't talk to any of them. But it's really about the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if that is something that just as a community, we really need to examine. And I'm not blaming the women. Women are probably like, for real, girl, you blaming me? I am not blaming the women, but oftentimes, we do take on that anger. And oftentimes, we redirect it somewhere that it should not be. And just because the relationship ended with you and that guy does not mean that your child and that guy's relationship has to end. And I feel like, then we enter the court system, and we already know it's just not fair on the black man in general. And so there's so many variables. And so I've been doing a whole lot of reading about this because, now so much details and all this stuff is available because black is in, and people are trying to prove their points. And so many things are coming out about how judges, were just harder on men, that they black men and they've been on white men, and so many things. So I just have to wonder, what role does that play in our society and how our children are feeling, because it's like, well, the dad's not here, but he's too young to really understand why the dad's not there.
Yeah. And I think I was in that scenario, not understanding why my father wasn't there, but I think I call it fortunate that my mom wasn't blasting him or keeping him away per se. It was, to your point, and later in life he told me I didn't want to be there. It was just that plain and simple. But it was that he didn't love my mom, so he didn't want to be around her or anything associated with her. And I found out more recently, he was encouraging her to get an abortion, and she didn't want to do it. And that comes about sometimes as well. Whereas, the woman wants to keep the baby, and the dad's like, this was just sex. This was nothing more than sex. I had sex. I'm done now. And as a result, you have a lot of children that are like bastards like myself that just struggle trying to understand why you left. And it is hard to understand. It has nothing to do with you, but it is that unique man that didn't want to be there. And we all know men that, are not in the household, never in relationship with the woman in question, and have great relationship with their children. So it is something about that choice that this man does not want to be a father to a child. Even if you acknowledge, this little guy looks just like you do, like it's you,
right.
You still can walk away. And so the other thing I can reflect on is, I think as a man, I don't know if there's a natural thing called fatherhood, meaning if I see a child, I have fatherly instincts. Yeah, it's a choice where this is my own perception, right? It's a choice. I can be a father, meaning I can be a father to my nieces, my nephew. I can be a father to a stranger. It's just a child I choose to be a father to. Whereas in my mind, women are different because this little person grew up inside you, and your bond is something totally different. I don't have that bond of feeling that child, 24/7 a day as they're getting bigger, moving and turning. And that builds that bond. I don't have that same bond with a child. It was intentional that I picked up my baby, where some men don't even touch the baby for the first 2 or 3 months. So there's a lot.
Let me stop you. It wasn't just intentional. You didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And holding that baby. So let's be clear. Let's be very clear on what was happening in the Bryant household, okay? Because I was not changing the diapers. Let's be clear on that. Don't try to make it like it was some epiphany.
That's so funny. Actually, I totally get what you're saying. You're saying just, genetically speaking, the emotional bond between a mother and a child starts, prenatally. It starts almost immediately. Our bodies are going through this process over 9 to 10 months to prepare us. It's like, it's so ordained, right? that this is so intentional that it grooms us to prepare us for motherhood, but men don't have that experience. And I have often, and I'll even speak from my own experience with my first daughter, my husband at the time felt very disconnected from that process. And so I do, so I'm speaking to that point of not having that natural instinct of fatherhood, even though it sounds good, or even though it's amazing and you can see it happening in them. They don't necessarily feel that process happening within themselves. It's something that they almost just have to jump in 2 feet. Wife says, "Hey, go change that diaper." And so even though they are physically there, emotionally, when does it kick in? When does fatherhood kick in emotionally? That's a great point there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I don't know. I think it kicked in emotionally more so for my daughter faster than with my son. Because with our son, when Tamika started showing, we made a conscious effort to make our son love this hump in her stomach before she got here, where he was talking to her on a daily basis, right? With my son, I think it came closer to when he was actually born. It was more, I knew she was pregnant and everything, but it was like seeing him the first time in the hospital room, I lost myself. And I accepted that he is my accountability and I'm responsible for him holistically. But I don't know if that feeling, if I knew I was going to become a dad, but I wasn't a dad until I physically saw him.
Yeah, that's good. Crystal?
And I think it becomes even more just complex when you think about like a man not knowing innately how to be a father, but you take that and the studies are showing that trauma is passed down genetically. So if you have a father who experienced the traumatic absence of his father and you shove him in a situation where he has to be a father, anybody who's been through trauma, they don't feel safe. So now I'm being a father triggered by my traumatic experiences with my father, that my father left, and I don't feel safe. And I don't know how to cope with this. And I don't know what to do. If fight or flight, I'm going to run away until I can figure out how to make this work.
That's so good. And along those lines, even piggybacking, tying in what you said, Crystal, to what Tamika was saying earlier, especially when there's tension between the mother and the father, it further complicates that because I don't want to be around you. Like you got me in this situation. I'm speaking from Salisbury. You got me in this situation and I didn't want to be here. It was sex. It was not family. I wanted sex, not family. Right. And so now we're pressed into family, right? And then even when there is a marital bond or there's a family relationship, it's like, I don't really know what I'm doing. You look like you know what you're doing. I don't feel like I'm going to step back. Like, let me just move out the way because I don't think I know what I'm doing. That piece, and also just feeling like I was saying, just kind of disconnected. Like, I'm not sure I'm ready for this. Like, this is a whole life journey that I'm raising a person. This is a person. This is a little human being. And how am I really prepared for this?
Yeah, because often the concept of a baby sounds easy until it actually happens.
Right.
Yeah.
And it does come down to, it's kind of like, as the mother, you're like, I don't got no choice. I got to do this. Whereas, know, which is why a lot of women have, negative feelings toward the man, because it's like, you can go and do this. You can go and do that. I can't because, physically I had this. But your comments are resonating with people. Ashley Rochelle, thanks for joining, is basically saying, yes, it's in the DNA. Absolutely. So knowing all these things, what can we do to stop this?
When I work with people who deal with fatherlessness, the first thing that we have to accept is that your dad did not pick you, period. That's where we have to start.
I love
because that emotional blind spot is hindering you from really acknowledging all of your father's limitations.
Wow.
Because you haven't accepted the core fact, you're not able to move forward. So that is where I start. Your father did not pick you.
Yeah.
When you say that, what are they like?
That's hurtful. That's painful.
I'm like, my God, that hurt me.
Yeah, that hurts.
It is a very excruciating experience, but it creates an avenue for discussion. Now we can talk.
Okay.
Yeah. I had to have that discussion on a personal level, like I said, with my daughter, because at one point in time, she hit a point like, why? Why is he here? What did I do wrong? What was I supposed to do? Did he not love me? Like, what was that? And one of the things that I have taken that personal experience and really worked on in the counseling realm is what we call individuation, which is separating yourself from that need or that expectation that that person is supposed to be there for you, because you have an identity separate from them, but you keep tying it into this thing that is broken and dead or absent. And so once you individuate from that and separate your identity from that, then you can create, whom you are and whom you're desired to be separate from that. That is a process.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a process, and it's a painful one, because that is at the heart of it. Is that I can definitely remember feeling less of a person because the person that made me didn't choose me. And so then you're like, well, why would this lady choose me to be her husband? Why would the coach choose me to be on a team? It creates so much initial. And I'm thinking, I can remember elementary school, like, I was a slow fat kid, not picked for the softball team. Like, damn, the coach ain't gonna pick me either. Like, no one's picking me. And everything is amplified from not being chosen.
Okay, so Ashley Michelle is saying, yes, the rejection has to be addressed. He didn't pick you. That core has to be addressed. I mean, when you said it, it sounded really like, damn, that's harsh. But when you think about it, you're right. The only way we're gonna heal is when we get to the root of the issue. We can't sugarcoat it. We can't make it cute, because if not, we are not gonna heal from it. And so, even though I was like, you're right. You're absolutely correct.
But what we're talking about, how is that core belief that started, at infancy or toddlerhood or young adult, whatever it started, that core belief resonates in every area of your life, whether it's a softball team, whether it's the girlfriend that broke up with you, or whether it, whatever the job you didn't get. It's like this core belief system of, am I good enough? What do I have to do to be good enough? It could evoke some overachieving attitude or, ego, kind of narcissism, because you're trying to overcompensate for feeling abandoned and rejected. It can manifest itself in zillions of ways. But once you identify that core belief, you can kind of see where it ran wild, where that seed kind of grew into a vine.
I think so that I definitely have examples of that, because there's been times where I've been rejected for jobs and wifey would have to pull me out of damn near depression, because I would be sulking for days about a job that I wasn't even interested in all the way. But hearing that rejection landed with me so harshly that again, it amplifies it every single time.
And people who deal with this type of rejection and abandonment, they tend to be overachievers and overperformers, because what life has taught them is, I myself am not enough, but what I do will always be validated. So let me sacrifice my gifts. Let me sacrifice my talents. I'm going to be the best at work. I'm going to be the best at sports. I am going to show you why I am the best. But innately, I don't feel like I am.
Oh my God, that's so sad.
You telling me too many truths to my face.
I just want to go hug some people. Oh my God, that's so sad. That's so sad. But
I feel that. I do that. Definitely at work. Whatever I'm doing, and I can even see, like, people I know taking advantage of it. Like, although I write, I don't think I'm good at writing, but people want me to do something for them, and I go all out. I'm coming back with facts and figures, and you will not be able to dispute anything I say from here on out. I am that person.
That's good.
Wow.
That's good.
Yeah,
But that's a really poignant self-reflection. Because there's areas where it works.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? There's areas where that overachieving works for you, and you feel validated, and you're like, yes, I did it. But there's always something else that you'll turn your attention to.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like some things are just never good enough.
So
I have to wonder, just how long does that validation last? I mean, you know, like once people are like, "Oh my God, you did a great job," you know, people move on real quick. So then you're now facing the next thing.
Yeah.
Like that has to be exhausting.
Yeah.
It is exhausting, but what is it? I'm trying to think how to word this. It's like I live with pain so long that I don't know how to use it for my benefit, but that in itself is a negative thing. Like because I know that pain, I can become angry real fast. I can get something done really fast because I know how to get through things so fast. But it's not like I'm managing it or trying to do something. I'm taking advantage of. I had that feeling of an overachiever.
Yeah.
So I will push and push, but that's all anchored in pain.
Yeah. And so you may be able to attest, but like overachievers, they have set such a high standard. They're not really able to even define the standard. They just know with every task, it has to be conquered. And if I don't conquer it, then I failed.
Yes. So I'm loving your conversation, Crystal, but I don't like you right now.
I know that's right, because I'm like, wow, okay. A lot of people are probably feeling that on the sideline, like, why she invite her?
Yeah, like, I'm like this. Like, can I just
that's why I'm so glad that you're here. I was able to look at some of the things that you've been posting on your Facebook page. And when I tell you your messages are totally what the world needs.
Oh, thank you.
I was literally reading them at like 3 a.m, like, oh my God, this is great. This is great. I mean, absolutely, because it wasn't just like, do this, do that, do this. It was facts. Like, you know, oftentimes this is happening. Think about this. I loved it. You guys, go follow her Facebook page. It was great. I'll make sure I post the link down to it as well. And Ashley Michelle is giving us a whole dialogue on it. This one I love right here. People have to gift themselves the gift of them. Being enough. You know, oftentimes that is just so hard. And it goes back to, you know, what we've been saying, things that occurred in our childhood and how things that are just triggering that we have not yet find solutions for or examine or even just opened up to talk about them is a bigger start.
Yeah. Children find their sense of security and attachment from the adults around them. And so one of the things that I felt like I needed to foster for my daughters was, what men can I get in their lives to reaffirm them? And so I was grateful to have my father present, my brother present, other men that were pivotal to me. And I was blessed to have not only my father, but other positive male figures around me. And so I really wanted to try to cultivate that as much as possible, so that when my daughters felt a sense of lack, that I always was like, yes, that's horrible. Like I could speak and validate their pain, and I could speak and validate what they felt was missing. And then I would say, that thing that's missing, you can cultivate over here. You can cultivate here. And just reminding them that there were other men in their lives to do what was missing. And I'm sorry he can't do it, but let me tell you who can.
Right.
You know?
Wow. So, Crystal,
go
ahead, Si.
When I got into those situations where there were men around, I rejected them fully. I remember saying to some, I called dad. Others said, I remember screaming, "You are not my dad." Like, I mean, up to teenagers, like, dude, like, I'm not calling you Mr. Nothing. You are not my dad. You are nothing to me. And it was as if I was talking to my dad through these men that were trying to help me. Like I was screaming at them so that my own father could feel it. Not that it worked, but that was just my coping mechanism. So it's like all these anchor points that I have just, and with the writing thing, it was my release more so than going to another man. And again, I always had men in my life, but I never latched onto them to the point of helping me through anything. And I get to the point that I want to be so independent, I would rather fail by myself than get help and succeed.
Right.
Wow.
So what I want to know, I want to pose this question to you guys. So what is it that you think stops people from seeking the answers? Like, I feel like all of these things that we're talking about, we all know that we have them in ourselves. We all know they exist. We all know the effect that they're literally having on our lives, our relationships, and especially kind of what we're passing down to our children. At what point, do we say, okay, we got to stop this?
Yeah, Crystal.
I think a big hindrance for people is they anticipate the pain that they're going to feel when they address all of this. They know that they were hurt. They know that it was painful, and they've suppressed it for so long. And just the thought of unpacking it all, it's like, I don't know how I'm going to react. I don't know how I'm going to respond. I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And so it's like, okay, I'm just not going to deal with it right now.
Wow.
Absolutely. I think one of the analogies that I give, and I talk about this in counseling, and I think this is particularly poignant for men. So if you have a bottle of soda, talking about it and feeling the pain is like shaking up the bottle of soda. If you try to take the top off, it gets messy, right? And so you put the top on and you put the soda down and you let the bubbles, settle in. And you're like, I know how to deal with settling in. But if you take the top off and it fully erupts, that feels horrible. It's very uncomfortable. It's messy. But it stops. It's not a never-ending geyser. And so if you can sit in that space and just allow the eruption to occur for a moment, it doesn't last always. Now it's out in the open. Now I know how to form the words to talk about this. Now I know I didn't die. I didn't kill nobody. I didn't punch nobody. I have the words actually to get through this space. And it's maybe not a space you share with everybody. Everybody's not going to write fatherless.
Right.
Everybody's not gonna go on Facebook Live and have this conversation. Right. But you just have to come into terms with it for yourself, for your own individuation, your own identity formation, your own sense of security, so that you know how to navigate that emotional space.
Yeah, so that's hard. You are absolutely right with that analogy. It's like, I don't want to open it up. And even writing made it give me closure, and wifey knew better of me to say, if I don't talk about it, I'm still holding on to it. So that's why we started last week to say, no, dude, that ain't enough. Speak about it, because that's how that is my only true release, is to speak about it. So I don't talk about it, it's still in me. Right. But to say it's not going to do damage or not going to cause more harm, or it's not endless, that's hard to digest, because in my mind it's endless, and it's safer for the entire earth to keep this bottle cap on.
That's great. Okay, so yes, we getting a whole lot of comments. So let me see. People are loving this. You getting a whole bunch of big ups. Yes, Melissa. I love that. Let me see. So we have Lakeisha, who's saying she is feeling the hurt. She understands it. So we have someone who also says they are loving this. So Ashley Michelle says, Sai, did you feel that you needed more male guidance or mentors when you first started to entertain marriage? Did you open yourself up to that after being so close off as a teen? That's a really good question. Look at that.
So, like, I know Dr. Tate for a long time. I think she'll tell you, like, growing up, I had no intention of getting married. That was not my intent, but I did want to have it. I did want to have a child in order to be a father, because I knew that was my anchor. I couldn't meet any women that just wanted to have just a child and be, on the background. Like, I wanted the child, like, give me the child, right? But so when I approached marriage, I had a lot of negative examples of that. So although my father left me, the married people, my grandparents were the only people I knew that stayed married. And, they stayed married because that was the thing to do. I don't remember them. I only remember them, touching one time in my life, and I was like 17 years old. So
Wow.
I didn't have any good examples of marriage. So I had no intention of getting married. When I met wifey, I felt differently. I can't explain it, but she made me feel different. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, Tamika.
But she made me feel different, that I could commit. And it was really her attitude about, she is a ride or die. So whether we're in an argument or loving or whatever, I know if I'm in trouble, I call on her first. So that is that type of needing that I want to feel, is like, in my mind, I latch on to women easier because I think men leave. In my mind, men leave. So I don't latch on to men, but latching on to women, like I latch on to my mom, my aunt, and my grandmom, and Tamika. So that's 4 people. That's not enough to sustain you. But as well as I didn't consider it as I've never thought of I need a male example of anything. And in thinking that way, and that negative feeling, I missed out on so much learning across my lifetime, where men could have taught me how to do things or had conversations with me.
Right.
I felt like I raised myself.
Oh, that's good. I have a question though, because for Saeed, in that resistance to fatherhood, tell me how brotherhood became so significant in you, because I know you're a man of Omega. So tell me how brotherhood and the honor and relationship of brotherhood became so significant for you.
It's because we are like one body with moving parts kind of thing. So it is absolutely, I talk to my line brothers like damn near every day, and it gave me some kind of release. Whereas I remember the first time I dealt with being fatherless, I was literally online. And we were discussing, I know
you were participating in the membership intake process.
I have membership intake. I pledged. But here's the thing, right? We were in one of the things we were having. One of my big brothers, Big Brother Phantom, was talking about the Bible, and he said you have to honor your mother and father. And I said, Big Brother, I have a question. I don't know him. Why should I honor him? Wow. And so that is where it started from for me. Being 20 years old, that was the first time I dealt with being without a father, was when I was pledging. So in the essence of it, it was the bond forms through pledging that allowed me to get stronger in myself and to know that I could do better in my life, because everything did not have to be anchored on this one person.
Right.
Because we had this, and again, pledging is not always the hazing part of whipping someone's ass. It's a lot of fruitful discussions and about men coming together to help each other develop and sharpen each other. Iron sharpens iron. And we have a lot of these crazy discussions about what it is. Like, one of our cardinal principles is manhood. We talk about that a lot. And as a result of that, you hear negative stereotypes, but we have a lot of positive stereotypes where, you do something stupid, somebody's going to check you. And there's been times where some of my older brothers have, even after pledging, have, slammed me up to say, who are you and what are you doing? It is that kind of thing where we're accountable to each other. And that accountability has enabled me to do better in my life, because I always know, 1, I can always have someone to talk to. And 2, I always know someone that's going to correct me if I'm wrong, whether I want it or not.
Yeah.
So that has helped me from that brotherhood perspective. But even having the brotherhood, it's still hard to let go of. To Crystal's point, I wasn't chosen. And a part of that frustration and anger was, I know I have a brother and sister that I don't remember, but he chose them, but not me. Do you know what I mean? So that is where that brotherhood helped me enormously, is that we call on each other, and I can absolutely talk to him if I need to. Some days I don't want to bitch and moan. You know what I mean? It's just like, get on with it. But I know if I'm at that point, I can always reach out to hundreds of people that I love, that I'll give my life for, that I can talk to. So that absolutely has helped me.
That's so good.
All right. So Angela Brown was saying that was a question that basically she was wondering the same thing as well. And I think that a lot of people, gravitate to fraternities and sororities for that sisterhood. And what ends up happening is, when they're not real about their feelings and pretty much why they're there, that's why they're unhappy. And I feel like that's part of the reason why a lot of people don't succeed in a pledge process. Because of that, because you go into it thinking one thing and not really grasping what was really happening and appreciating the lesson behind all the other stuff. And so that is key. And then I think it really just ties into basically the entire conversation that we've been having, just recognizing whatever it is and really trying to work it out, not giving up, because I think that's part of the reason why as a society we are where we are, because oftentimes when it gets hard, we quit. And life's just not easy.
Right.
That's good. Yeah. But I think encompassing all of that, we can't neglect statistically that men or boys who are fatherless often don't make it to college, and sometimes don't even hit that track. And so the brotherhood they wind up finding is in the street. And the brotherhood they wind up finding, and they get confirmation in, could be gang life or drug life, or just even being philandering towards women, and so it's so hard to come back off of that derailment and that sense of abandonment that they feel, because they find other ways to fill the void that's not always healthy.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. It kind of reminds me of the Khalif Browder story, basically, just everything that he went through. And when you see the story, the documentary, and I, have been reading a lot about the story, a lot of it is that there was no male figure there for him. And I don't necessarily think a father. There was no man there to kind of tell him it's okay. Like his mother tried to do what she could, but she couldn't give him what he needed. And I think that ultimately, all of that and all the demons that were just going on around him is really what, caused him to commit suicide. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I think, as a society, we've got to find a better way. So, so what is your suggestion? Like, so for the person out there who is dealing with all of this, they're fatherless, either the father was home, he was not home, they didn't know him, they're struggling with, what to do. They recognize some of these things that we're talking about in themselves. They're not quite ready to take that step to maybe contact a mental professional. Like, what are some things that they can do to kind of get themselves ready?
Crystal, I defer to you. I do have a suggestion, but I'll wait till Crystal goes.
Well, I would definitely recommend being open and honest with yourself. If you find that you have a very sink or swim mentality and it's very difficult for you just to float, I would definitely encourage you to be honest with yourself about the impact your fatherlessness has had on your life. And then once you can acknowledge that, go to therapy, because I think of fatherlessness like a song that's always playing in the back of your mind. You never know which part of the song your mind is on until it's triggered. And then at that point, you really don't have control over your response. So in order to help yourself and help the people around you, acknowledge what happened and then seek professional, care.
That's good. I think one of the ways that people can do that, and Sai is doing it, when you can't form the words and have that conversation, the paper is your friend. You can say whatever you want to say, however you want to say it. You don't have to edit it. You don't have to, be politically correct. Say how you feel on paper. And if you never show it to anybody, that's okay, because that's a part of that release process. It's a part of taking the bottle top off. It is a part of that, like I was saying, it's therapeutic for you to at least know where you stand with yourself, at least being honest with yourself, at least being clear about what you feel like you're missing in your life. If you don't know what's missing, how are you going to know how to fix it? If you can't identify that alone, you won't know how to fix it. You'll be going in circles trying to fill a void that you don't even, have the words for. So I think journaling and writing is the way to go. If you never share it, never mail it, it's not always about making amends, because like we said, that person's been absent, so they may never hear the words. But if you can come to terms with it for yourself, it helps with that individuation process. So that was one thought too, and piggybacking. But another thing is for the women out there who have children that maybe have an absent father, you really have to have a poignant, honest conversation with them as well, and give them the opportunity to say how they feel.
Yeah.
But also, and maybe it's just me, sometimes you gotta let him just be fun dad. Like sometimes he won't be the one to, check his temperature and wipe his nose and take him shopping and play football with them. Sometimes you just gotta let him show up, take him to Chuck E. Cheese, and bring him home, and let that just be where he stands, and let him feel like he's the best father in America because he did that. Like sometimes they just need to be relieved from the burden of being a father. Just let them be in their life in whatever way is healthy and makes sense.
You're about to get hate mail, just so you know.
I know y'all mad at me.
Yeah, you are really about to get hate mail, but I agree with you 100%. I absolutely agree. And it's unfortunate.
You can't make him be what he's not. He doesn't know how to be it. Why would you force him into that role?
Yeah.
Right.
You said a whole
lot of truth right there.
And that is so wow. Like, yeah, you're really about to get hate mail, but it's the truth. And sometimes I feel like, we've got to think about our children and the mental effect that it has on them.
Right.
And, sometimes we gotta, it's unfortunate that, we have this wonderful child and this man, for whatever reason, is unable to really appreciate and fully do what I guess you expect or society expects of a father. And I think that's also another thing we should talk about, what society expects and the rules of parenthood and, mother and father. So it's unfortunate that in so many cases, women feel like they have to take on the role as both and the weight on their shoulders. I get it. Like, it is a heavy ass burden.
Yeah.
But sometimes we got to take one for the team. Right. And if your child is, and I equate it oftentimes to Santa Claus, because you know how when your kids believe in Santa Claus, after you spend all your hard-earned money buying all that stuff, and they like, Santa bought this, and you and your mom like, no, I want that. No. Take one for the team.
Yeah.
Even if it's just once a year, whatever. I mean, literally, like, you see the stories where fathers are showing up and you see them with their kids and you see all these videos all over Facebook where the kid hadn't seen his dad, and it's like the kid is like so elated. It is amazing. And I don't know if you guys have seen, so there's this group now called the Dad Gang. And the guy created it because he said that oftentimes it would be him and his kids out, and people would congratulate him or say good job to him for just being a father. And he's like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But society has shown and keeps saying, well, you don't have to be because the mother is going to do it. So let's talk about that. Like, how can we change that? Because that, to me, is crazy.
So I've definitely had that experience at restaurants. People say, oh, your children are so well behaved. Like, you're a great dad. And I'm always conscious when I go outside to wear my wedding ring, so people know that I am actually married and I raised my kids with my wife, because people want to associate a Black man being, you are the disingenuous person, and I know you just picked your kids up to have this dinner and you're gonna drop them off back at your mom's house. And it's around doing it. I don't know how to say this. How do we empower women to, one, allow us to have a conversation about what I can do and what you can do? I have experience where wifey expects me to do something because her dad did it. And I'm like, son, that ain't me. You know what I mean? It's like, but you have to have that discussion where I feel blessed is that we intentionally had each of our children. Right. Yeah. So it was on purpose. Whereas I recognize a lot of people, I didn't come here on purpose. It was something happened and I'm here. Wow. And when do you as two adults sit down and say, what's going to be your role and what's going to be my role? And, like Tamika could teach them how to do plumbing, and I could teach them how to paint, or I could teach them how to wash dishes. It doesn't have to be the stereotypical roles we're trying to force everyone into, further perpetuating the pain of you want this child. It's like you want me to teach them how to play basketball. Dude, I don't play basketball.
That's good.
That is not me. I don't shoot. I don't have a jump shot. I don't have a dribble. So for me to take my son out to teach him how to play basketball isn't happening. But that is what we kind of label people to do. You have to teach them this. You're the man. You teach them how to do this.
That's
and
good.
that is so frustrating because my mom taught me so much.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to kind of downplay her role and teach me something as if it doesn't matter as much because she's the one that taught me.
Yeah. For me, because like I said, I grew up with both my parents in the home, and they were a great example of marriage. But for me, being a single mother, now raising 2 daughters, it was very important to me to teach them what my father and mother taught me. Like it was really important because okay, y'all gonna get mad. So for me,
come on.
Or hate mail, it's all good. But for me, I never wanted to be dependent on anyone. If you come into my life, it's because I like you and you like me, and you the cherry on top of this very complete pie. Like, not because I need you to do anything. And so that a lot of times is my initiative with counseling. Young people that come to me for premarital counseling, or old people come to me for premarital counseling. And a lot of times the work is with you as the individual. It is not necessarily about your communication, because your communication, the issue that you're having in communication, is a manifestation of what your issue is as an individual.
Right.
And so the work comes in you as an individual. So one of the things I encourage of my daughters, because my father taught me how to change a tire, and my father, I was a tomboy. So, what we doing, playing football, what we doing, playing basketball, what we doing, going fishing. I did all of those things. And so it was important for me to be able to instill that in them, how to have the toughness to just do because it needs to get done, and not wait for someone to take the trash out, or someone to go put gas in your car, or or someone to wash your car. I did all of those things. Now, when my husband showed up in my life, he's a blessing to me. He does those things for me now, and so I can appreciate it. I don't expect it. He does it because that's who he is as a man, and I can appreciate it in a different way because I don't have to anymore.
All right. Yeah, I can relate to all of that. My parents have been married. My sister's how old? I don't even know how long my parents have been married. So we're gonna say my parents have been married
53 years.
Yeah, I was like over 50 years. I know that. But they were like elementary school sweethearts. I mean, if that even exists. So my dad has been a part of the family. So like, there's no like in-law, because they all grew up together. They all ate each other's houses. Like my dad played with my uncles. So it's like a family. Like we just somehow or another they got married. I don't even know. And so because of that, my father, has always been around, and, he is very active in my life and in my kids' life. I can relate to all of that. Like he taught me so many things because, as a family of a lot of women, it's 3 of us, 3 girls, we are very independent. And, you can shake your head because I have no regret. I have always been of the mindset, like, you know what, I can do it myself. And it's like, I'm gonna ask you. If you don't do it, I'm gonna do it. That's just who I am. And side knows that.
And I appreciate that too. Like, don't wait on me.
Right, exactly. You know what? You're right. I got this. Because that's just who I am as a person. And I realized that is because of my dad. Because we have a lot. I know a lot of people, and just growing up, we saw a lot of fatherless homes, and even a lot of homes where maybe the mother was absent as well. And the child was raising themselves. And my father always wanted to make sure that no matter what was happening in the world, I would be able to fend for myself. And I remember when I stopped working, and to me it was a blessing the way it played out. I was pregnant. My job didn't know I was pregnant. They were doing layoffs. I think they thought they were punishing me. Meanwhile, it was a godsend. But when I told my dad, he's like, "What do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you going to work. Like, how are you going to take care of yourself? I'm like, Dad, it's okay. Like, we're going to be okay. He's like, no. So he could not imagine, because in his mind, it became, on him. No. It worked out. So he was able to evolve from it, but it goes back to literally just what he taught us. He wanted us to be independent. And, sometimes that gets in the way, but that's who I am. I don't like how you're not.
It's in the way.
By the way.
You just brought up something though that I want, and this probably a whole other topic, but Crystal Curry, along with the Dissecting Daddies drama, has the motherhood issues as well, about motherless, the mother being there or not being there. Crystal, please speak to that, because we're
gonna have a whole show on that. But go ahead,
it's called Messages My Mother Missed. So it was birthed from a professional place, but also personal experiences. So I grew up with my mom, but she had me when she was 14. My dad was 15. And in my experience, my mother was emotionally immature. So there was a lot of messages that I was supposed to receive as a child, such as like, I delight in you, I love you, I see you, you're safe with me, that I did not receive. And then my experience with fatherlessness was when my dad attempted to have a relationship with me, she shunned him out of her own spite. So when I became older, I went out and sought him and found him. So this is for the women who are shunning the fathers away from their children. When they get older, they're going to grow up and go and find him.
Yes, they are. Yep.
And when I found out all that she had done during my childhood, the anger and the rage that I had towards her was unimaginable. So it kind of backfired. But in that, with the Messages My Mother Missed, we just go through and we just heal those emotional wounds that have been created.
So that will be a topic. You and I need to connect and figure out what we're going to do that, because I think that is really key.
Yeah.
Especially because, just like how you said, you were angry, and there are a lot of kids right now who, when they become adults and they connect with their fathers, are going to be feeling that same pain.
Yeah.
And they're going to be so torn, because, like, who doesn't want to love their mother? Like,
right.
And it's like, my mom is everything. Like, how can I not love her? Like, it's like an unspoken word. Like, you don't even need to say it. Like, you got to know I love you.
Right.
Now that I found out all these things that could have eased some pain that I had, now I'm angry at how to process that. Wow.
And that's why I created these safe places, because when I was going through my own experience and going through my own therapy, I was like, okay, ain't nobody talking about this. Like, you talking about your father wasn't there, but you're not talking about how it affected you. Right. And everyone is acting and pretending as though they have an amazing relationship with their mother, when in the background, you really only talk to her once every 3 months. So I wanted to create a space for people, for children who are now adults, who want to heal from these things, so that it doesn't become generational.
Girl, that's powerful. Oh yeah. We are definitely going to get that on the books, because that is really, like, I'm feeling that 100%. That is so important. Like I gotta really.
And that's a good point, though. It goes back to what a mother could do. I think, although my mom didn't say a lot, she never blasted him. She never said how of an awful person he was, and she just would always say, when you're ready, I'll find him. Most days I'd be like, no, I don't want to talk to dude. But when I did want to talk to him, she made the effort to go find him for me. Do you know what I mean? But I think about that woman that shares her anger so openly about the man she had sex with. A child does not need to hear that. I need to tell you, a child does not need to hear about your sexual relationship and how bad it played out for you. That message sticks with that pain, and that child does not forget what you said, ever.
Yeah, that is true.
I think there's a distinct issue between trying to differentiate between the man as my lover and the man as your father. And those messages get cloudy in there, and interferes in his capacity to father if he has a desire to be that, but it interferes in his capacity to be able to father, because the role of husband or significant other has been fractured in some sort of way.
Because as a child, with my fatherlessness, and some people may even agree, I had to grieve. As a child, I had to grieve the loss of a man who wasn't even dead.
That's so good.
How do you even try to work and process
trying so much? Yes.
And
when I didn't even have to.
That's so good. And there's so many things in life that we grieve that is not necessarily related to death.
Right.
It is a lot of absence or relocation or emotional absence. It's not always physical, but the whole grieving process is tawdry and is deep in who we are as Black people because of the generational traumas that we've been through in some sort of way. So that again is a whole other topic.
It is, y'all. I'm ready. Listen,
3 and 4 are already lined up.
So
these are the things that we have to talk about. And I mean, even just taking it a step further, for me, like, you know, being diagnosed with breast cancer and trying to do the genetic information, and they're asking me about all these people in my family that had died, and I know they died. Like, I was at the funeral, but I had no idea why they died. And so it was crazy, like calling people and trying to get information. And I'm like, and I told my family, I said, we can't do this, y'all. I said, we gotta sit and we gotta talk about what has happened and all the family secrets and all that, and that uncle with the one eye and the uncle that was in that special college. We have to talk about these things. And because we don't, that's why we keep having these cycles that can't be broken. You know, no need to be ashamed. Like, everybody messes up, but let's pick up the ball, get it right.
Right.
So you guys were amazing. All right, so look, we are at an hour.
Wow, good job.
Don't worry, guys. I see all your comments. And listen, Ashley, Michelle, you probably need to just be on the show with us, because like, you have a whole bunch of comments. Come on, drop me a line so you can get on the show with us. But we are definitely going to be back. Motherless. Messages my mother missed, y'all. It have to be like a 3-hour. We might have to do it like as a mini series or something, because
that's a great idea.
Something that a lot of people need. So stay tuned. I will make sure I get information for you guys for that. However, if you need any mental health services, I know that these ladies are in Charlotte, North Carolina, but telehealth is happening. I see it everywhere. Totally reach out to them. Don't sit and just suffer alone. You don't have to.
Amen.
Now I brought you 2 professionals who are willing to help you. Don't think they're going to go for free though, y'all, because they do got to get paid. Listen, call it right. Stop trying to get the free hookup. Call it right. But definitely reach out to them. I'm going to make sure that I post the links so that you guys know where they are. You'll see it in the replay. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for this amazing discussion. I hope it was helpful yet again. And I am so looking forward to messages my mother missed. Have an amazing weekend. And if you're going to celebrate the 4th of July, enjoy that as well. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.